Euthanasia is the act of deliberately ending a person's life but for compassionate reasons. It's usually to end the life of those who are suffering from illnesses. If the killing isn't intended, it's not euthanasia. 37% of the people who took my survey did not know what euthanasia is, and so this is to raise the awareness of what it exactly is. There are four forms of euthanasia. The first form is active euthanasia, which is an action that's done to immediately kill the person. For example, giving drugs to bring about death. Second form is passive euthanasia. It's when any form of treatment that extends a person's life is taken away. There are two types of passive euthanasia. The first one is withdrawing treatment, which is switching off machines that keep a person alive. And the second type is withholding treatment. It's not carry out a surgery that might help in the survival of the person. People consider active euthanasia to be morally better, but passive euthanasia is thought to be better for the patient or the victim. Third form of euthanasia is voluntary euthanasia. It's when the person himself asks for euthanasia, for example, taking an overdose of painkillers. Fourth form of euthanasia is compulsory euthanasia. It's when someone else decides that it would be in the person's interest to end their life. For example, when a doctor gives a lethal injection to an incompetent elderly who's suffering. Euthanasia in Islam is a topic of absolute morality. It's not permitted to perform euthanasia. Each of us was given a fixed lifespan when God created us. One of the pillars of Iman is believing in predestination, so one who performs euthanasia is not believing in God's judgment. As Allah mentioned in Surah Ghafir, He it is who gives life and causes death. When He decrees a matter, He but says to it, be, and it is. Allah also mentioned in Surah Al-Isra, and do not kill the soul which Allah has forbidden except by right. The Christian perspective on euthanasia is simple. They believe in the sanctity of life from the moment of conception until natural death. Whether it's Catholic, an Orthodox, a Protestant, or a Lutheran, they all share the same basic refusal of euthanasia, where it says in the Bible, "Thou shalt not kill." The Jewish tradition regards the preservation of human life as one of its supreme morals because our lives are not ours to dispose of. The value of human life is infinite, so if a person is goses, meaning a person who is terminally ill in the Jewish law, defined to die within 72 hours, is still a human being. His life is still as valuable as the years he or she lived. But if there's a machine or external help that helps the patient survive, it's permitted to withdraw this thing because it's thought that such help interferes in a person's natural way of dying. Stephen Hawking is one of the greatest examples that can help in imiting euthanasia. After being diagnosed with amyotrophic lateral sclerosis at the age of 20, he gradually lost control of his muscles and doctors assumed he'd die in a couple of years. And despite all the illness, he finished his PhD. His condition worsened till he reached absolute paralysis except for his finger. In such condition, he has contributed so much to physics and mathematics, receiving many awards showing his significance. Comparing ourselves, the healthy ones, to Stephen Hawking's accomplishments, we must feel ashamed. He's a strong proof that regardless of how severe our conditions may be, a living human being can achieve great accomplishments. Therefore, we can see how foolish people are who hasten towards euthanasia and the degree of how harmful it is to our lives. According to the survey I've given out, people also had different thoughts about how harmful it could be. Opinions regarding euthanasia may differ since people have different religious views and distinct mentalities. So, who are we when to judge a person must end his life, whether it was compassionate or out of hate? through euthanasia or actual murder. It all goes back to God's power since we're merely significant in comparison to his powers.